Hello and welcome. I would love to welcome you to the Fall 2021 Co-op Information Session. And with me here today in the panel, first of all, myself, my name is Rasha Taufik. I'm team lead for the undergrad programs and the academic coordinator for the Co-op program at the Haskayne School of Business. I have with me as well here today, Tanya Jamal. Tanya is one of our amazing career development specialists at the Haskayne Career Development Center. I have Astrid Eckstein with me. Astrid is the Co-op academic instructor, and definitely the amazing Rochelle Lamoureux. She's one of our program specialists at the Haskayne undergraduate programs. Now, before moving forward with the presentation, I will want to do the land acknowledgement for the University of Calgary. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in South Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy comprising the Saxia, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Stoney Nakoda, including Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wisley First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nations of Alberta, Region 3. In our presentation today, we did the introductions. This is the agenda. We'll talk all about the co-op. We'll explain the application process, the job search, co-op stats, co-op academics. And if you do have any questions that you would love to ask us, we will share with you our email address and where you can possibly find as well answers to some of these questions. So what is the co-op program? The co-op program in basic terms is you are working while you are studying. You are putting into action everything that you are learning in your academics. It is the combination of work integrated learning along with studies. The co-op program at the Haskayne School of Business is not mandatory. It's an optional academic program that students can enhance their BComm degree with. When you are doing the co-op program, because this is an optional additional academic program, the credits from your co-op courses are not used towards your BComm program, and I'll speak more at length about that later, but you get these as co-op credit, which then will appear on your parchment and your transcript. So co-op at the Haskayne School of Business is 3 work terms, 12 months of work experience, because each work term is for 4 months. You alternate your full-time studies along with a co-op term, or for some students, they manage to get jobs that are for 8 or 12 months. So then they're doing this co-op and then studying. The university regulation, though, is that when you graduate with BComm and 12 months of work experience, which is a minimum of 3 work terms. Some students often ask us at the office, why should I consider doing co-op, or why should I do co-op and not do a job on my own as an internship? So through the co-op program, you get full support of finding a job from our Career Development Center specialists. They do offer help for all co-op, for all Haskayne students, but the co-op students have their own unique co-op job board on Elevate. So that gives you more opportunities to find jobs that are relevant to the co-op program. A big advantage of doing a co-op work term rather than your own internship is that through a co-op work term, you maintain your full-time student status with the University of Calgary. Therefore, any awards, scholarships, loans, bursaries that you are on are not affected. They continue to be as is, and you don't have to apply for a leave of absence from the University of Calgary. And this leave of absence has specific regulations that you will need to be aware of, so you're not dismissed from the university. How do you apply for the co-op program? The co-op program application is all done via D2L. There's an application form, there's academic requirements, and there's a resume and the letter of intent. The courses and the minimum GPA I will talk about at length, and the resume and the letter of intent are needed. However, if you are enrolled and take MGST 359.03 and get a B+ in that course, then you don't have to submit a resume and a letter of intent. The courses that must be completed before you go out on a work term are your Sigma 217, MGST 217, NT 217, and a Concentration 317 course. It's important really for any student, any Haskayne student in any concentration, because we do want you to have some business background before your first work term. The GPA requirement to apply for co-op is on your last 30 units. The minimum GPA is usually a 3, but that does not guarantee admission because co-op is a competitive program. Having said that, though, if you do have a GPA that's lower than a 3, still do apply because it's a holistic program. And so we look at the whole package of that you submit in as part of your application. For your resume, you can check Elevate for resume resources under career resources. You can see a career development specialist for a one-on-one appointment. For your letter of intent, it has to be a business letter, cover letter format, and you can get more information about that through the career resources. But the letter of intent, unlike the resume, cannot be reviewed by a career development specialist. We really want the letter of intent to portray to us who you are and what your character is. So just to review, your co-op application package consists of your application form, your resume, your letter of intent, and all of these are due. The first intake for co-op, the deadline is November 15th, and the second is May 15th. All of these are submitted through D2L, and the D2L course opens 1 month before the application deadline. After the application deadline, so after November 15th, you'll be emailed your interview link once your application is submitted. Applications will be reviewed. The one-way interviews will be emailed out the latter part of November, and then you will be notified of the decision, your co-op decision, in mid-January. Now, for this year, we are planning to maybe investigate looking at an conditional or early admission to co-op, so stay posted to your UCalgary email, please. And now I would like to move the screen to Tanya, our amazing career development specialist, to let you know more about the Haskayne School of Business Career Development Center. Thank you, Tanya.
Great, thanks, Rasha. As Rasha mentioned, my name is Tanya Jameau, and I'm one of 4 career development specialists that are involved in the co-op program. And so I wanted to provide a visual representation of our staff here. We've got myself, Dave, Jennifer, and Danielle. At the bottom of this slide demonstrates a few areas where we can support all of the students within the co-op program. Everything from your basic resume for applying into the program, all the way to supporting you on your first day, to your first month, to your entire work term while you are working with our industry partners. Now, in our next slide, it does cover a little bit of that information that Rasha mentioned, but the reason I want to mention it again is because the career development specialists, essentially your career coaches, were involved in many of these processes. So I wanted to reaffirm you that we're engaged with you and involved with your application process. We're involved in reviewing your interview from Kira late November, as Rasha mentioned. Between January and April is when you'll have the most contact with us involving your orientation, effective networking, and your job search, ultimately to find your job in May. Once you find your first work term, we are involved with some of your academic components, including your site visit for getting a passing grade for co-op. Now, if we move on to our next slide, we can see here that as part of our co-op program, you are ultimately responsible in finding your job. There are many business schools across North America that have a placement model, meaning they will match you based on your interests and skills to an employer and a role. However, at the Haskayne School of Business, we've seen the direct influence and impact learning these key skills and the sort of cycle at an early stage. You then become a bit, stronger, well-equipped, prepared for a job search once you leave campus. And so I do want to reiterate that it is a numbers game, unfortunately, when it comes to job applications. It is a competitive program. We obviously want you to find a great job, but Most students get stuck a little bit in the lull of the circle of 4 to 5. And that's where the career development specialists come in and really help boost you to number 6, and hopefully, reoccur this process for work term 2 and 3, depending on how your job search continues. Now, one resource that we have for you that's readily available as of today is called VMOC. This is a 24/7 resource that reviews your resume and actually assesses the impact, the content, and the presentation of your resume against other Haskayne resumes. So the number and the grade you receive is in direct correlation with the Haskayne community. Make sure that when you upload your resume to VMOC, that you use the /Haskayne link. If you use vmoc.com, you will have to pay a pretty penny to use the service. So if you want me to pay for it, please use /Haskayne. The good news about this resume platform, as I mentioned, it's 24/7 access. You could do it right now. And each calendar year from August to August, each student gets 10 resume uploads. So you might as well get a few uploads ready to go for co-op, and then you can use it to find your first or second work term. Now, a lot of students ask, well, Tanya, where can I work while I'm in co-op? What are the industries or companies that I can work for? The good news is you can work for whoever you want. These are just a snapshot, I guess, of some industries or organizations that hire co-op students. Naturally, we have a lot of students in accounting. So we have, individuals that go into public accounting, whether that's boutique, mid-size, or large firms, investment banking. We even had a student work for Microsoft last year. We have Amazon. I mentioned government, the National Energy Board, Parks Canada. We've got investment firms. What else? Nonprofit. The Drop-In Center, they've hired from us as well. Obviously, TELUS is a huge proponent of co-op. In Canada, Shell, Suncor, Husky. We've had Callaway Park. We've had Tourism Calgary. Just pretty much everyone and anyone can hire co-op students, and they do. So a lot of these industries are from the last year. Now, beyond this, I do want to pass it off, I believe it is to our beautiful, wonderful academic program specialist, Rochelle Lamoureux. Just kidding, it's Astrid. But equally, just as beautiful and wonderful, Astrid is your co-op academic instructor and ensures that you pass the course. So Astrid, take it away.
Thank you, Tanya. Yes, as you noted, this is an academic course. And so while you have the benefit of all the extra things that you normally get with having an academic term, including your full-time student status, the ability for scholarships and whatnot, things like, your bus pass and so on. But part of that is that it's academic. And so the academic component is not optional, although sometimes our students tell us they want it to be, but it is not. It is required, but it's not onerous. And we try to make it as pleasant and useful as possible. And so really, it boils down to typically 1 or 2 assignments. They are fairly small. On average, I would say you could probably bank around 12 hours a term on average. So I'm not saying 12 hours a month or a week. I'm saying 12 hours from the beginning of work term to the end of work term. And so you'll be doing things like learning objectives. And then depending on which work term you're in, there's a different assignment for each. And so it is required, but it is not onerous. And really the key that we're trying to get you to do is to connect your academic learning and your university degree to what you're doing at your job placement. And then I think the next slide is another way that you can really build your experience and another way to track what you are doing in terms of your co-curricular activities. There's something called the BOLD program. It's a unique app to the Haskayne School of Business. And when I say unique, we are the only school in Canada currently to have this program. And the really neat thing about it is that you get it as an app you find suitable on your phone at the Play Store or on the Mac side of things. Sorry, I'm not a Mac user, but anyhow, you find that, you download it, you use your UCalgary ID to sign in. And once you've done that, there's all sorts of activities that you can participate in. And the app, the Bold app, then tracks those activities. You get points, but it also creates a record. And that record you can then use to remind yourself what it is that you did, how you focused on these critical learning competencies, or you can also use it to share with future employers on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile. So that's an excellent program that I would highly recommend. If you have any issues, the email address is here. It is bold@ucalgary.ca. And I think now we get to pass it off to the beautiful Rochelle.
Yes, thank you so much, Astrid. I think one of the very unique things about Co-op is how many different departments are involved in making it successful. So sometimes that can make it a little tricky to understand who to go to for questions. Well, here I am to give you the answers. So in bucket number 1, we have myself, Rochelle, and Rasha, who's the Co-op program coordinator. We answer all questions related to Co-op and your program. So how do you get into Co-op? But we can, discuss with you course fees, but also how does Co-op fit into your degree progression and your degree planning overall? And of course, scholarships and awards. So any kind of question that you would likely go to your program advisor for about the BComm, you can kind of think as that form of question as something that you can come to us for Co-op. Any questions, this is bucket number 2, that are related to the actual Co-op course, such as assignment questions, deadlines, et cetera, that can go to Astrid. Then in bucket number 3, we have your career-related questions, and that goes to our delightful Tanya and the other wonderful career development specialists. So do you need help finding a job? How do you make your work term, which is how we know that you actually were offered a job and can then connect you to the course? Anything, if you need help or support in your role, if you need interview support, scheduling your site visit, etc., that all will go to the career development specialist who's in your area, and you can go on their website to figure out who that is. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, Rasha, thank you. So essentially, we have a repository of information for you on our website, and I'm going to let you or take you through that. But first, I just wanted to address some common questions we have. So one question we get a lot is those courses Rasha mentioned at the beginning of our presentation. For instance, you might be enrolled in one of those courses now and not have the actual grade yet. That's okay. We want you to have completed those required Co-op courses before you start your first work term, not for the application. And there's a lot of confusion in that, so I'm going to say it one more time. The essential thing is you must have completed those required courses, MGSD 217, ND 217, 317, et cetera, and your 317 course in your concentration before you start your first work term, not for the application. So please do not let the application go by because you haven't completed a course. So that's one question we get a lot. Another question we get a lot is about the 90 unit limit to apply. So you are not allowed to carry on in the Co-op program once you have reached 90 units towards your BComm. So there's sometimes confusion about that. because you might be in a combined degree or you may have taken courses before you joined us with the BComm. We are happy to help you figure out what your unit limit is, and you can also find that information on your academic requirements report through your student center. I'm going to start sharing my screen now, just a second here. And while I'm doing that, Astrid wanted to mention one more thing about the BOLD program. So I'm just going to share my screen and have Astrid talk.
Thank you. Yeah, I just forgot to mention one thing. On the BOLD slide that we had previously, there was a QR code at the bottom, and I forgot to mention that if you do sign up for the suitable app, you can actually take a picture of that QR code and get points for things like this. Coming to today, exactly right there. Coming to the orientation and just learning about things like this is part of your career readiness, and so we are giving you points for that. The other small little thing, if you had any questions about the MGST 359.03 course, I am also the instructor for that course. And so if you had any questions that way, just please send them along to me. And back
Thank you,
to
Astrid.
Thank you.
Back to me. The last thing I wanted to mention is that our website has recently been revamped and contains a lot more information, maybe even too much information. So I will just show you very briefly where you can find that. First of all, we're going to have important dates and deadlines over here. This is also where I hope we will be posting this session, so you can reference back to it for more information. If it's not right here, it will be on the website, I promise. If you want to just kind of grab some brief information about co-op or look and see about other students' experience, you can do that through our beautiful co-op video. There's lots of information, who you talk to, more events at the bottom. But the most important relevant buttons for you will be these three here. Before you apply, if you click on this button, it will pull up a PDF for you. And this PDF is chock full of information. I wanted to highlight something for you. It is table of contented. So you can, for instance, if you just want the application instructions, you can click right on that and it will bring you right to the instructions. Then you can follow those. There's a lot of information. If you want, you can try Control F and search for specific keywords, or you can always use our table of content as well to find the information you need. So just very briefly, when you are registered and going into D2L, you're going to click on My Tools, Self-Registration, and then, oops, I shouldn't have done that. There we go. And then you will choose this here, HSB Co-op Applicants Fall 2021, and complete the registration process. That is for you to apply to D2L. Other than that, once you have been accepted, you can choose this button, Accepted, what next? And it's full of wonderful information for you there as well. I think that's my last slide. Let me just go back to the presentation here. Oh yeah, just so you have our email addresses. I would say first check the website because we spend a lot of time anticipating your questions. So that's the very first place to go. If you would like to meet with a career development specialist, that email is here, elevate.ucalgary.ca to book an appointment. And their email information is also on the career development website as well. And then lastly, please feel free to email myself or Rasha. We're the ones that manage the co-op inbox. So it's coop@haskayne.ucalgary.ca. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass it back to Rasha to wrap up for us.
Thank you very much, Rochelle. Thank you, Astrid. Thank you, Tanya. And thank you all for watching this information session with us. We really look forward to supporting you in your next chapter with Haskayne, whether you want to join the co-op program or do any other amazing opportunities that Haskayne has to offer. But for the co-op program, we are all here to support you. As has mentioned previously, we look forward to having the many departments in Haskayne help you through this process. Again, definitely feel free to reach out should you have any questions. We're happy to answer you. And we look forward to seeing more of you in this semester and the upcoming one. Have a wonderful rest of your day and take care. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, everyone.